All right, Geeks and Geekettes, I've got a very special treat for you. I would like to welcome to the channel Mr. Jimmy Champane. Mate, thank you so much for your time and coming on the channel.
Are you kidding me? Thanks for having me. I've been a fan for a long time. I don't know if I told you this. I found your channel right after I moved to LA. When I was repainting Cassian Andor Nerf gun to be better. And I learned the techniques of painting a Nerf gun to look like a real gun from you. So I've been like subscribed to you forever since I discovered YouTube.
Oh man, that's awesome. Thank you. My best mate Cam, who's here in Australia, recommended me too. He's like, have you heard of Jimmy Champane? I'm like, no, but firstly, that name sounds amazing. And
awesome.
Yeah, when just after 2018 Halloween had all kind of come and gone, but your content was obviously there, and I was like playing catch up. And then obviously last year was just amazing with all that content. So yeah, man, it's nice to have you on the channel. So I'm sure a lot of my audience knows who you are, but for those who don't, just a history on how you got into horror, Halloween, and what you're all about.
So I've always been into horror, like since I was a little kid. I watched Halloween 4 on AMC Fear Fest. Do they have AMC in Australia?
We don't have AMC. We can get Shudder here now.
Yeah, so Shudder's owned by AMC here, and they have like a cable channel where every year they would do this thing called Fear Fest, and they still do it, but it's not as good. It used to be the whole month of October. Like that channel would only have horror movies. So that's how I got to watch like crazy stuff, like all the Halloweens, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Streets, like all that stuff. My parents didn't care because it was like edited for TV. And I went through all the same stuff people who like saw these movies in theaters went through, like where it went from one night Halloween to Halloween 2 and then Halloween 3. And I watched the whole movie of Halloween 3, like waiting for Michael Myers like come in at the end. And I loved it, but I was like, where's Michael Myers? And then I thought they like got it wrong on the TV guide. And I didn't actually learn like the whole story until I was older and like the internet became a thing. But yeah, so I started with Halloween 4. I loved it because I was the same age as Jamie-ish in the movie. And so it was like really easy to empathize with her, and like I was scared of that Michael Myers. And then I think in like 6th or 7th grade, I don't know, so one of my friends showed me the first Halloween uncut, and I was like, oh, there's like blood and stuff, this is awesome. And I started going and like hunting down all the DVDs and like uncut copies of these movies, and I loved them even more. And then in high school is when I really dove into the 80s stuff and like watched Return of the Living Dead, you know, like went back to Texas Chainsaw Massacre in the 70s, all the Nightmare movies, all the like Wes Craven stuff, like everything. And the YouTube thing, I don't know what made me do it, but one day I was like, oh, you know, like they put out that picture of Laurie and Michael where they're laying in the leaves, and I was like, I got to talk about this. Halloween's my favorite. And I was always scared to talk about it because I didn't want to ruin it for myself by like having a video bomb or something. But that video did better than anything I'd ever posted with like 1,000 views. And I was like, whoa. So I made another one and it got like 2,000 views. I made another one and it got 5,000 views. And then I just kept going up and up and up. So I was like, great. And then I just kept making Halloween videos, and I've thrown in some like Nightmare and Friday, like lawsuit updates and like what's going on with those in between. And people really like that. So I guess my channel is like the slasher channel now. And I kind of love it. It's awesome.
That's so cool, man. Yeah. And obviously like your main bread and butter is also working with other channels. So you've got the ins and outs, you know, all the behind the scenes stuff. And it was so cool every time, especially lately, now that the Ends trailer's out and we're on the home stretch towards Halloween. And it's so exciting to always see your thumbnails. The one you put up the other day, the screening they had of Ends in Las Vegas, and it's Michael with this big smile on the thumbnail.
I spent so long on that. I used the Face app, and then it wasn't working. It wouldn't register like any pictures of him as like a face. So then I found that one, it would work, but it looked wrong. So I put it into Photoshop, or Affinity is what I use. And then I used my iPad pencil, and I was like touching it up for like an hour. I was like, I gotta post this video. What the hell am I doing? It's gonna be like tiny on someone's phone. But yeah, I love that thumbnail. It's so funny. Yeah, that's like my favorite part, is making thumbnails.
Same here. I really love making thumbnails. I get really into it, and I'm like, I'll spend hours on it, and I'm like, I've spent more time on the thumbnail than I have on the video.
Yeah. Well, that's the most important thing. Like you're in the thumbnail business on YouTube, right? Like you got to make the thing people are going to click on before you make the video. So it's good when people focus on the thumbnail.
Yeah, exactly, man. So yeah, today's video is just what we're doing now, just to shoot the shit, but also like because I can't talk to a lot of people here in Sydney about Halloween ends, it's just or Halloween in general. It's just nice to have this conversation, and especially now the trailer's out, and holy shit, the amount of things we're hearing and like plot leaks and who's this Corey Cunningham. That's just really just what I want to talk about and just put it out there because even last night I was at the screening for Prey. Disney had a
Oh,
screening of
cool.
Prey here in Sydney, and I took my mate, and he's a big film cinephile too. So we were talking about what's going on with Corey, and he's just like, I don't know how the hell this is going to play out on screen. Like you've got it in your imagination how it's going to
Yeah.
be, and what we've read, like what you and I've read, and what we've been told, and I'm just flabbergasted. So your initial thoughts where everything is now, what are your thoughts on how this is going to play out? Are you excited or are you a bit nervous? Yeah.
I'm never really like nervous because I'm such a like fan of it that I
Mm.
think I'll enjoy it no matter what. I can watch any of these movies any day of the week, you know, like when I'm editing or doing my day job stuff, like working on PS Ready. I'm like, gotta throw on Halloween, man. I gotta just get through this edit. I'll just throw on like Halloween 6. I
Mm.
love that one for like the Halloween atmosphere. Even H2O, I've really grown on, or it's grown on me. So I'm not really nervous. I think just from everything I want in this movie, like having Michael look cool. Obviously, they're gonna nail that. We've seen how he looks. It's Christopher Nelson again.
Mm.
I don't have any issue there. All the kills that they've done so far and like the rest of the franchise or the rest of this trilogy have been really good. Practical stuff, no CGI blood. Just production design standpoint, everything's been great. This one I'm more excited for than I was for Kills, ironically, because it's going back to the dramatic, like actual like horror movie aesthetic of 2018 versus the action slasher Halloween the Ride that we got in Kills. I
Mm.
really like Kills. I knew like I had a feeling it was going to be kind of crazy with all these characters coming back and everything like that leading into it, and then the script leaked. So when that came out, I was like, ah, it's over, it's finally done. Like there's nothing can leak now that the movie is out, we
Yeah.
can move on. And that's kind of what it felt like because we waited so long. But this one I'm excited again because I don't know what's
Mm.
going to happen, and I like that feeling.
Yeah, 100%. What I love is because so much stuff leaked out with Kills last year. And I was saying to my mate last night, I'm like, how funny is it if everything had have gone according to plan, Ends would have come out last year and it all just would have been done and dusted. Because the initial plan was to have Ends take place on the same night and just have this cohesive trilogy of films that take place in the same night, which I was jonesing for. And then obviously David Gordon Green and Danny McBride have done this 4-year time jump, and we've got new characters and stuff like that. But yeah, it's been quite refreshing. And I said this in my trailer reaction video. It feels like the 90s when the internet was like that big and you knew nothing. The only thing you knew is what the poster looked like from going down the lobby of the cinema and seeing the poster and be like, oh, wow, that's coming out. And I just love how guarded it is. Granted, some stuff is coming out now, but obviously, take it with a grain of salt. So I am really, and I say this, I say this in utmost respect. There are some people on the internet that are like, oh no, it sounds awful, I'm not going to go see it. I'm like, yes,
oh my God,
fucking will, mate. If Michael's wearing a tutu, you are going to go see it. It's just, we're such hardcore loyal fans. We're going to see it no matter what, because also we just want to check it out. And if it's a good experience, like Dave McRae said, it could be the most existential and beautifully crafted film ever. We don't know how it's going to go. Like in terms of the Halloween series, it might be the best one. We don't know.
David Gordon Green's such a great director, not even on just Halloween, like even his comedy stuff, everything the dude's worked on. And at least like even if I don't like it, there's always something in there where I'm like, that is really good direction. And I feel like that's what we're going to get here at the worst, is a well-directed movie that's going to be different than what we've seen before. And I'm excited for that. You know, we're on movie 13, I think, in this franchise. Like, they got to do something different to end it
Yeah,
all. Like,
yeah,
that's fine with
exactly.
me.
And obviously, 2018 was Laurie's movie. Kills was Michael's movie, and obviously they just said to Chris Nelson, the effects crew, "Go nuts! This is like the bridging gap between 2018 and ends. But during this, we're just gonna go whole ham and just splatterfest," which was great. Like the kills were brilliant, but then also apparently there were deleted scenes from like deleted kills from kills. Apparently there
Yeah,
was
they somehow made too many kills, which is like, when you watch the movie, it's like, how did you have to cut anything? I don't know. It's like crazy. Uh, I loved all the kills in Kills. My favorite part, that I watch it on YouTube all the time, just when I need to laugh, is when Diva Tyler character is like on the floor, and then I guess her husband's like over the kitchen table, and Michael's pulling all the knives out of the like knife rack and just stabbing them into the guy who's already dead. So it's like pointless. He's just having like he's having the like time of his life. This is that. It brought me back to like when I was a kid. I'm watching like Halloween 4 and all this crazy stuff is happening. Like,
just his
I
flair for
can't
the
play like Michael stabbing the guy with a gun.
yeah,
It's fun.
exactly. Just his flair for the theatrics and how he poses these victims. And in this case with Phil and Sandra, he played and like he's testing out knives. I do love it though every time when Phil turns the light on in the bathroom and Michael smashes the bulb and he's like, what does he say? Sandra, there's a big fella in the bathroom and he's wearing a monster mask.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's so good. And that movie cut really well for a trailer, I think. Like, I see why Universal did what they did with that marketing. They, from the test screenings, which everyone loves to talk about test screenings. Like, I've talked to so many people on Twitter now who people just keep DMing me like, accept that this movie is bad. And I'm like, why? I haven't seen it. You haven't seen it. You're getting like third or secondhand information from people at test screenings, and I wouldn't trust that based on the fact that Halloween Kills had like across the board incredible test screenings. Like, people were freaking out, giving it like an A+ or whatever, like loved it. And then the movie comes out and it's like the most divisive somehow in the franchise. So I don't really like, I don't get why people are just like, it seems like hoping for this to be bad, which I think is weird. And B, coming into my DMs and being like, hey, I know more than you about this. I'm going to tell you that's bad. And from everything I've heard from people who actually worked on the movie, the people ironically who are flexing their spoilers, their knowledge and shit, don't know anything about this movie, which makes me feel even better. So I just like, yeah, like you, where I love that with a movie, I can just go in sometimes and not know what's going on. Prey is a great example. Thanks to the fact that they haven't marketed it at all. I don't know much about it. I'm excited to watch that. I wish it was in theaters. I'm really jealous you got to see it in a theater. Halloween Ends, they're doing a good job with the trailer, not showing stuff. They're making fake shots. They're splicing up different times of the movie. I think that's really cool. And I wish they did that for Kills in hindsight. But I can see why they were like, oh yeah, slam dunk here. We're just going to blow it out of the water, show everyone everything, get them hyped. So
yeah, I think there could have been a bit more mystery with the firefighter scene with the trailer.
Yeah, because it's awesome. That
That
would have been cool if we never saw that, right? Like, and that's how it opens after the flashback. They did a decent job hiding the flashback too, but they even put that in the trailer, which, like, I don't know why they did that. That's not going to bring people into the theater who weren't already going to be there. So I wish that was hidden. I wish the firefighter scene was hidden as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think like the flashback scene is definitely a highlight from Kills. Like, holy shit, man! Like the production and the time spent trying to recreate how 78 looked is ridiculous. That kind of blue, foggy, it's hard to explain. That the way it looks is just brilliant. Like everyone, the cast and crew should be commended for how they pulled that off. It was absolutely ridiculous. And
yeah, and like the Loomis prosthetic, right? Like, that's all you.
And the guy was a construction foreman on the film, and like they're just looking around like, you look like Donald Pleasance. Come here, we're gonna slap some silicone on you.
He's like, all right.
And now he's like doing the convention scene, and he's uber famous now because he's the new Loomis. So it's amazing. And I think like, and what you just said, they've deliberately put fake shots in the new Ends trailer, which is I love that because it's like throwing people off the scent. It's really smart. And look at all the discussion it's churned up. Like I was watching one of Dave McRae's videos, and he was going shot by shot of the trailer, you know, with the pinky ring and the fingers intact when Michael's opening the door and Laurie's there and someone else is in the room. Like the whoever put this trailer together is just probably just like, these guys are going to have a field day. And that brings me to my next question. Corey Cunningham, what are your thoughts? Because obviously it's such a massive jump from the original idea that Ends was going to take place on the same night of the events of 2018, but now we've got a 4-year jump.
Right, so he's all new. I don't know. Initially, you know, coming off of Stranger Things, I was like, oh, this is going to be like an Eddie Munson character. He's probably going to get framed. And then I started watching the trailer again, and I'm like, oh, and then looking at the interviews, right? It's hearing that this is modeled after Christine. Like David Gordon Green went to John Carpenter and was like, is this too Christine? I was literally sitting in the theater watching Christine. I got to go see it at the Alamo Draft House here. They're showing all of Carpenter's movies this summer. So I went and saw Christine. And that's it. I'm like, oh, so maybe this Corey Cunningham character is kind of like worshiping Michael, right? Like there's like he's kind of built him up as this anti-hero type character to himself, and he's gonna dress up and maybe kill some people as Michael and then go and find him in the sewers or something. I don't know. I'm looking a lot into the working title because the working title of Kills was Mob Rules, which ended up being a huge portion of the movie, and this one's called Cave Dweller. We see Michael in the sewers, so that's where I'm like connecting the dots there. Again, I think they've done a really good job not giving away who this character is, because you have the description underneath the trailer. It makes him seem like he's a totally sympathetic, good guy type character, but then you see the trailer and he's clearly looking for Michael, and he's surprised when Michael grabs his face, but he was already standing right in front of him. So that's like giving me a lot to think about there. And I don't know who he is. So I'm excited about that. I'm like, yo, this is sweet. I don't know what's going on for once.
Yeah, exactly. And the fact that his last name is Cunningham, like Arnie,
yeah. I can't believe I didn't put that together until like when I made my last video. I put it together right before then. And I literally thought about this while I was watching Christine and didn't think about that. I was like, what the? I'm like getting old or something, like not putting that together. It felt so stupid.
In terms of like wrapping, because obviously after Ends, the rights revert back to Malik and Trancas and all that. So Jason Blum's essentially just like, in terms of us, we're done. In terms of if someone else gets the rights or whatever, that's up to them. Could be anthology. They could just continue on and reboot it again. But he's like, our stuff is done. In terms of a fitting ending, and it you know, this is just purely just for a bit of fun. What's your definitive ending for Ends?
I want Laurie to live just because I like that character. I think like bringing her back for this 40 years later thing and going through all this, it would be kind of like like it would be going against the whole like idea they had to kill her off. I know Michael can't die on screen after resurrection. I don't know if that's like an urban legend or like something that's true, but I've seen it come up enough with people who have worked on these movies where I think that's like a thing still. So I don't think Michael's gonna die. I just hope like it's satisfying how they keep him alive in the end. Like maybe Laurie kills him and he turns into like a spirit of Halloween or something, and they go for the like supernatural aspect of like, oh, he'll always be out there or something. Or if like they pass the torch to Allison. As far as Jason Blum goes, I think he's just being a smart businessman where he's like, yeah, we're done after this, our contract's up, to make it look like he maybe doesn't want to, like he doesn't need Halloween, right? He doesn't need this franchise. They'll be just fine without it. So when this is over, if it does make a lot of money and Universal goes to Malik and is like, hey, we want to re-up this deal, then Jason Blum can argue for a better cut of whatever they make, because he could sit there like, yeah, I'm the guy who made all this happen. Like, give me more money on this next 3-picture deal we sign or whatever. So I don't know. It's great. I'm like, there's so many ways they could take it. Like Laurie could die. We could see another trilogy with Allison. That would be kind of cool. Laurie could live and kill Michael if that rumored thing where he can't die doesn't turn out to be true, or if it does turn out to be true, Laurie could think she killed Michael, and Michael could still be out there for there to be a new director to take over after all this is said and done. So unlike 2018 and Kills, where it felt like there's only one way to do each of those movies, this one is like the one that we can really have the payoff and the new stuff that isn't so tied to either 1978 or 2018.
Yeah, 100%, man. I love what you said, how Michael could become the spirit of Halloween, and much in the vein of like the Batman, at the beginning of the Batman, where it's going through Gotham and it's focusing on a dark part of the alley.
Yeah.
Batman's not there. You still think he's there, or like in The Invisible Man, where no one's in the corner, but the camera just shifts to the corner. Like he will always be around. You can't kill the boogeyman. I definitely want Laurie to live, but there is a part of me where she says in Kills, I'm paraphrasing, where she says, if he goes to take my head, I'll take his at the same time, or something like that. Like, both go out together kind of thing, but in like a tasteful way. And yeah, it is stipulated in the contract. Mustafa Akkad said Michael can't die. I don't know what the legalities are like
right. It's like, who knows?
Like, yeah. So like what a Blumhouse do? They're scratching their heads like, well, we can't kill him, but like, can we kill him off screen? Does he get mortally wounded and wander off and die somewhere?
Cool,
like
that's
he was supposed to in the first one.
Yeah, like 2018 is supposed to just like wander off into the woods and like sit on a stump and die, I guess. I don't know. They changed that obviously, but I'm game for whatever. We know there's going to be more Halloween movies after, so if they do kill him, we'll get a couple year break and someone else will take over. The one place I don't want to see it end up is like TV. I don't want a Halloween streaming series. I like this as a theatrical event franchise where they finally started releasing these things around October, around Halloween. Let's keep that going, I think, in the future. Like, I feel like it'd be a step back to make it a streaming thing or like a TV show or something like that.
Yeah, and it's no like disrespect towards TV series as a whole, but I think Michael Myers will always belong on the silver screen. And last year they had to stream it on Peacock. Like, I remember when the premiere for 2018 was here in Sydney, my mate and I went. Jamie Lee Curtis came to town. It was big. It was a big event. They had the Strode House with Strode Realty plastered at the front in the cinema complex.
That's awesome.
It was amazing. And then cut to last year, nothing, because of obviously what's happened. So I'm hoping that Ends has a good premiere here in Sydney, and I think that's the big grandioso part of it, is that Michael belongs on the big screen, and that's the experience too, because experiencing a horror movie on the big screen is so much fun. I won't give anything away about Prey, but yeah, dude.
I know, I'm so jealous, man. I want to watch
like
it.
you, I went into it. I didn't watch the trailers. All I saw was the poster of the young lady on the front of the poster, and she's got like the blood, green blood smeared on, and I'm like, oh, that looks interesting. And they're taking it back to primitive, Native American times, and it's just so good. So
yeah,
good.
You got to do a custom collectible of this Predator. I have had that spoiled just by pictures on Twitter, and I'm like, that is so cool looking. I want a figure of that so bad.
He is amazing. Like, obviously they're keeping it with the similar aesthetic of it, but they've changed it up enough where you're like, that is pretty cool. And like his faceplate is very cool. I would love to. I was actually, when I got out last night, I was eBaying Predator figures. I'm like, I just want another Predator figure, but I want to see if there's a good 3D file of his helmet or his face. I'd love to do like a little bust, paint it up, and do a video on that. I think that'd be a lot of fun, man. But with so like we're talking enough smack about Halloween, I also want to briefly touch on my guy Freddy. So I put a video up several months ago about a direct sequel to Elm Street. Like, if they gave the direct sequel treatment to Elm Street, and I gave my notes on it, my thoughts and everything, and everyone has a different opinion about it. Some are just like, no, just don't do it at all, or you could pick up after Dream Warriors. Like, what would be your pitch for, say, a direct sequel? It couldn't be like, sorry, it might not have to be to the first one. It could be the second or third one. How would you do it?
I recorded a video and I edited it, and I made a thumbnail. I put it on my channel. I haven't posted it yet just because there's been so many Halloween videos. I don't want to kill the momentum. So I just talked about this. I'm excited. I want the Duffer Brothers. My two options: Duffer Brothers,
Yep.
Andy Muschietti. I don't know how to say his last name totally right. I thought they were going to give him Nightmare after It Chapter 2, right? Because that movie is set up like a Nightmare movie, totally from top to bottom. And then he's like, "Yep, I'm going to superhero jail," and I was like, "Shit." So then now I see Stranger Things 4, and it's like so inspired by Nightmare on Elm Street. I'm like, just give them Nightmare on Elm Street, dude. Like, I think they could do something really cool. Robert Englund, like, what was it, 2 or 3 years ago, was on the Goldbergs as Freddy again, and he still got it. The costume looked great even for a network TV show. He had that Freddy tone still. I'd love to see him come back for at least one more, or they get someone new to play Freddy again and just do it right this time, with the costume perspective, because I didn't think, like, from a tonal perspective or like a performance perspective, the remake Freddy was that bad. I thought you did a great job. I think just the way it looked was wrong. Yep. So they've already proven that, unfortunately for Robert Englund, I don't know, unfortunately, it's just like, unfortunately for fans who only think Robert Englund can be Freddy, they can get a new person to do it. They just got to be careful and make sure it looks right. But I would like to see it still keep that 80s feel, you know, like that Amblin sort of, you know, fog. We have the fogger in every shot, even if it's daytime. You know, the little like chimey music, the craft aspect of it, instead of like a big CGI blowout movie fest, sort of like the Halloween 2018 perspective, right? Where you give it a lower budget, so you force the director to really get creative and focus, and not have an unlimited budget and do whatever they want, like what we got in Halloween Kills. Like, give them a little bit of restraint, because we've seen this a million times. It ends up with a better movie. The difference between Split and Glass. Split's way better because M. Night Shyamalan did show a ton of restraint. Then he gets way too much creative control on Glass, and it's not as great. So, yeah, like the Duffer Brothers, keep it lower budget. Try to bring back Robert Englund. If it doesn't work out, get a new person to play him, but make sure you get the right person. That's kind of like my 3 main things, I would say.
100%, man.
What do you think? I didn't see your video. I have to watch it after this.
I did a direct sequel pitch to the first one where, you know, you get rid of all from, you know, Nightmare on Elm Street 2 onwards. Okay. We pick up with Nancy, and I'm like, imagine if Johnny Depp just came back as Glenn. They're married. Awesome. They got kids. And Freddy's been in purgatory since the events of the end of the first one. And it takes place where Nancy's kids are affected. She might have one kid, 2 kids, and one of the kids ultimately gets killed. And then that churns up the fear again with Nancy and Glenn, and then gives Freddy that strength. And I was all for that. They have to keep this design, but more weathered. Like his skin is sagged more, the sweater's more dirtied up, like he's aged. Even though he's in purgatory, he's aged somewhat. And then I also had notes that I wrote down that 1428 is abandoned, it's derelict, no one's going near it. Donald Thompson still hasn't coped with the loss of Marge, even though they were divorced in the first film. He still hasn't coped with it. Hitting the bottle, he takes himself to the abandoned house, where he then takes his own life. Then that also can churn up the fear with Nancy and Glenn after Donald takes his life, gives Freddy strength again. So there's a few ways you could go about it, but if they brought Robert back, and Jason Blum's trying to get the rights at the moment, I believe, and trying to get Robert back. These days,
that's what made me do my video. That's how long ago I made this video. I made it.
Okay.
Right when after my long break, I made like 6 videos because I was going on vacation for a week, and that was one of them. And that tweet where he's like, I've been trying. I know he's been trying on Friday the 13th also, because back when Halloween was announced, someone like in the press side that I used to talk to like all the time, they were basically like, yeah, he's also trying really hard to get Friday. And I think he'll get that, and I feel like that's perfect for Blumhouse. But Nightmare as well, dude. I think when you show restraint, a plot like what you just said is perfect for that. Killing a kid also, I feel like a kid would be easier for weathered Freddy. You know, he doesn't have enough fear juice in him to really be powerful, but
Yeah.
he's scary just on his own to a kid. That's super smart. Like that's a good way to get the ball rolling. And then like he's got a last ditch, one last try on an adult, and going for someone who's mentally broken. That makes a lot of sense to me too. I would love that. That's really cool.
Yeah, and I whether it takes place late 80s, 90s, and honing back to what you said about give it to the Duffer Brothers, and I put on my Instagram story after watching season 4 of Stranger Things, give the Duffer Brothers the Elm Street franchise, because they can do period pieces. They have the production crew, they have their dedicated crew to go to replicate the 80s and probably the 90s. Like everything is just down to a T. They know how to make things look good and not overly fluoro. There was a lot of brown in the 80s and they nailed it with Stranger Things. And I think whether it took place in like 94, like 10 years after the events of 1984, yeah, and I will always love Wes Craven's Unite Me. I think it was so ahead of its time, but I think a direct sequel would be fun. But knowing Hollywood, they'd probably want to get Robert back for 3 films instead of 1 to wrap everything up. And I think that's just the nature of it. I did, and I had no idea Dave did this. I watched a video Dave did a year ago on John Saxon's treatment that he wrote for an Elm Street film back in 1987. Have you heard of that?
Oh, I've heard about that. Yeah, for sure. That was on. They talked about Bloody Disgusting, and I was reading up on it. That also sounded really cool.
So that's the article Dave went off, and it's wild, man. Like Freddy's a therapist, and there's like a cult involved. It takes place in 1969, where Donald Thompson's a lot younger, and he's got his first daughter not through Marge, through another partner, and then Nancy's like 5 years old, and she calls Freddy Freddy Cougar in the script. But yeah, there's like Charles Manson-esque helter-skelter cults, and it's wild, man.
I would love to see that too. That franchise is so untapped at this point, even though they made so many movies. That feels like the one where, you know, like Friday, I like Friday. I don't love Friday. I love certain movies in that franchise, but that's not one like Halloween where I can throw on any movie and like just have a good night. Friday or Nightmare, I can throw on basically any of them at any given time and find something to enjoy. The only ones I don't really like are like 2 and then Freddy's Dead. I don't really love that much, but
what are you talking about, man? Freddy's Dead's the best.
It's fucking crazy because Freddy scared me when I was a kid, dude. Like when Nightmare 4 scared the shit out of me with the bug transformation thing. I was like, that's freaky. And then the first one, when at the beginning when his face comes off and it looks like pizza, I was like, ugh, that scared me so bad when I was a kid, because they left that in on Fear Fest, like on TV, that they left in his face coming off, and that was really scary. So to me, Freddy's really scary. So I want to see more of that and less of the jokes and the goofiness.
Yeah, like we got to go back to basics like they did with 2018. I think just make Freddy scary again, give him minimal dialogue, keep him hidden in the shadows. And
yeah, also I was wrong. I meant the Dream Child, not the Final Nightmare. That's the one I don't like. The Dream Child.
Yeah,
Final Nightmare I like.
Yeah, Dream Child's like I did. I was on the Slaughtered Lamb podcast with Frank and Darren the other week, and we were doing our rankings of the Elm Streets, and yeah, second last was Dream Child, and then last was the remake, and it was purely because the remake just felt so cold and sterile. Like Jackie Earle Haley did great with what he was given. I don't like the design of the burn makeup. You lose his performance in how stiff and rigid it is. But like my audience knows this. Freddy's Dead was the first movie I ever watched, and I thought it was the scariest fucking thing ever.
Yeah, Freddy's Dead I like. Because when I said that, I was like, man, I thought everyone hated that one, and I was like, oh no, wait, I said the wrong fucking movie. I'm stupid. But yeah, they're all on HBO Max, so I've been binging through them all while I edit and stuff.
Yeah, and they're great background noise to have, especially when I'm like working on stuff out in the kitchen or like here in the study, like building stuff. I'll like throw on an Elm Street. If I've like completely wiped out your playlist, Slaughtered Lamb, Dave McRae, Wham, I'll be like, all right, I'll throw on an Elm Street. It's just nice to, especially because I just love how chill all of you are, and it's just like just having mates over. It's just nice to have you guys in the background.
I love talking to those guys.
Yeah,
Every time we do the Hollow stream, it's so much fun because I can't watch Dave McRae's stuff religiously just because it's like with when I started PS Ready at work, I had to stop watching all my gaming content because it's like I already know so much about it, and it's just like I have to separate work from fun. And Dave is like, I can't listen because we feel the same about a lot of stuff, but then he's so good at explaining the stuff we feel differently on that it kind of gets me on board with it. But I'm like, I want to have my own opinions. So then after the movies come out, that's when I kind of go back and binge Dave's stuff, and I'm like, yeah, this dude knows what he's talking about.
And he's,
Mike's great.
Yeah, and he's such a brilliant wordsmith, and how articulate he is with how he gets his point across. So, and it's like, Mike and Jay, the Wham boys, they're just scallywags. They're fucking scallywags. I love them to bits. Like each one of you guys brings your own thing to the horror table, which is brilliant. So, dude, I've had the best time talking about this. Thank you so much for taking the time. I really do appreciate it. For people who want to find you on YouTube and the Instagrams and all the socials and all that, what are your social hooks and handles?
All of it is Jimmy Champane. So Jimmy, and then it's like the drink is my last name, but no G. But now so many people have searched it wrong, and I've done collabs with people where they spell it wrong. If you type it in the drink way, it comes up. So you can just find me at Jimmy Champane pretty much anywhere.
Awesome, man. Do you have any upcoming videos that you want to plug, talk about? Like what's in the pipeline at the moment for the next couple of weeks for you?
Yeah, I just got to talk to Chris Nelson in real life. I never met him, Christopher Nelson. Never met him. I talked to him on Instagram a bunch, and I was so excited. I got this I got this picture of him signed by him, of Nebula with the makeup on.
That's so
I'm
cool.
super excited about that. So I interviewed him on camera. That's going to be in a video. I'm also working on like a me versus the critics type thing where I kind of go through, I'm testing this out, see how it does. So I'm not going to promise more than one movie, but I'm going to look at Halloween 2018, I think is going to be the first one, and kind of compare how the critics feel about it versus how I feel about it. Kind of excited for that. And then, the Halloween Ends videos, as many as I can do, basically is as much news as they put out, I'll make videos on it. So if you guys like Halloween, check out my channel. But also I feel like your audience probably already watches my channel, since we have the same taste and everything, it seems, which is funny.
No, absolutely, man. Yeah, just in case there are people who are just like, oh man, I want to see this guy's stuff. So yeah, I'm really excited for the coming weeks and months leading up to Ends, because I had so much fun last year with all my Halloween content. Like I want to do videos on, like, top 10 effects gags in Elm Street, Friday the 13th, Halloween, Hellraiser.
That's smart. Yeah.
And I do want to talk more about Hellraiser, because I watched have you ever watched Leviathan, the Hellraiser documentary?
Yeah, I watched them all. Yeah, in the documentary. When Judgment came out, that's when I went through them all. And
same,
I like Hellraiser.
Yeah, man. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. But again, dude, just thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you.
It's been a treat
awesome
to have you on board. Halloween. What was it? October 14th for Halloween Ends.
Yeah, but on all the new stuff, they're just putting this Halloween. I have a poster right there. They're just putting this Halloween. So maybe they're like looking at different days in October, because a lot of movies keep getting pushed. I'm assuming they're just looking for the best date. But yeah, October 14th.
Dude, it's right around the corner when you think about it. We're in August already. It's crazy.
I know. This year's going by like way too fast. We're way too fast.
Oh man. Well, with that being said, guys, thank you for watching. And Jimmy, thank you so much for being on the channel. Really appreciate it. Wherever you are in the world, please have yourselves an absolute cracker of a day. Hope you're well. Hope you're happy. Be merry. Be silly. And until next time, geeks, please always remember, Jimmy.
Oh, what's your outro? I forgot it. I got COVID and it gave me brain fog, dude. I can't remember anything.
Dude, it gave me brain fog too.
Yeah, like I got it recently.
Do it best.
Cosplayers do it best.
There you go.